坐在我旁边这位呢，就是Eastwood 所在的 Bandalon 选区的UAP 就是澳大利亚联合党的候选人 Rhys Collyer. Hi, Rhys.
Hi, how you going?
You look much younger even than that.
Yeah.
That's not. I don't think that's an advantage for you in this election, right? Because the people are looking to like experienced guys, senior guys to lead us.
Yeah, look, sentiment on the ground is people want to change. They want fresh ideas, a new perspective and a new vision. I believe I can bring that here in Bennelong and work alongside other people who are much more experienced than I, and I obtain their wisdom and I utilise it on the ground here. And I'm looking to go into politics for the right reason, not the wrong reasons.
You have nothing to lose because you have to. Okay, yeah. People told me that you have a very interesting background. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm a medical scientist by trade. I'm a peer-reviewed author. I've been lead author on multiple medical papers as well, and I've won an international conference award over in America. And I was actually studying for a career in medicine. However, along the way, I've worked in construction, education, and hospitality as well. Again, going back to the point, I may be young, but I'm driven. I've done a lot of things in my life that I think, and I think people deserve to give me a chance. I think people, would actually relish that opportunity for giving someone who wants to go in there and, like I said, has that energy and abundance and youthfulness to give in Australian politics.
Okay, yeah. So you are a UAP candidate, United Australian Party. That's quite a new party, and a party with some controversies, I have to say. So can you tell us why are you joined this party?
I joined this party because of the last 2 years primarily. We looked at the declining quality of politicians and the out of touch, or just how out of touch our modern politicians are. Craig Kelly was the only one to get back to me. So I actually had a lot of admiration and respect that he gave up his time to call us back and have an hour-long conversation with us. And I thought that is actually lacking in Australian politics. Empathy, just human decency. I'm here to talk to everyone. I'm not going to shy away from that. If people want to say stuff to my face, whether it's good or bad, I'm happy to.
Did they say bad things?
Yes.
In your face? Like what?
One of the things was one of the signs on Parramatta Road had racist, racist, racist. I actually had an altercation at the Landmark Hotel just over there one evening, campaigning, and we were there with the Lebanese bouncer, and he genuinely was curious and asked, "Are you racist?" And I said, "Oh,
because of this party."
Because of this party.
Okay.
Yeah, and I questioned how, and we had a great chat. And anyway, it was another patron that came out half intoxicated that wanted to pick a fight with us. And there's been numerous instances where people have said, "You're a disgrace. How can you live with yourself? How much are you getting paid?" And look, I just want to make it abundantly clear, I'm not getting paid. I love this country, and I want better standards in Australian politics and in Parliament.
United Australia Party. To you, what is a United Australia?
The future of Australia is undoubtedly multicultural, and I think we've transitioned from our first policy before the World Wars to after the Second World War, adopting people from around the world into our Australian communities. And it'd be remiss to say that, I wouldn't be here if that wasn't the case as well. My mother is Polish. My grandparents actually fled Warsaw and came out after the war.
Fled communism?
Yes. Fled communism, fought fascism and fled communism. And look, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that, open community and that charitable place that we have here in Australia. So a United Australia Party, I'd say, is as much as it is to do with our outward characteristics, it's also our ideologies, and we want to bring Australians together, enrich all Australians.
The debate or the disagreement comes from what people think multicultural multiculturalism actually is. What is multiculturalism to you? I guess those people who accuse you of racism or being racist is because they have a different understanding of multiculturalism.
My definition of multiculturalism is having competing ideas and enriching Australian culture through those individual aspects of their respective cultures as well. So multiculturalism is about opening our ideas, opening our hearts, opening our minds to these new challenges, new confronting ideas, and say, hey, that is actually a better way to do things. Why don't we take a step forward in the right direction? And I think...
So the other controversy about UAP is its attitudes towards vaccination. Yeah. So you majored in medical science, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you have a paper published. What's your opinion on that? Are you an anti-vaxxer or a pro-vaxxer?
No. We're not anti-vax. We're not an anti-vax party. We're for freedom of choice, for medical intervention. And look, I just will say one thing that, my experience working in the medical field and, submitting ethics applications, freedom from coercion, undue pressure and manipulation is paramount. And that is a medical code which you can't break. I believe that we should educate our people to their fullest extent so that they can make an informed decision on whether they do or do not want it.
What was your decision? Like, are you fully vaccinated?
I've got natural immunity.
Natural immunity, okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think are the top concerns of this community?
I think the top concerns of this community would probably be cost of living at the moment. That is something that is affecting everyone in their back pocket. And with that, we've got, record highs of inflation coming up. And, there's families that are struggling to put food on the table due to the increased costs in groceries, in electricity, in fuel. And that's hurting everyone right across the board. Actually, I'd probably like to say it's a combination of these personalised core flutes. I actually felt so strongly about these that I'll start with There Are Minerals Make 'em Pay. That actually addresses a way to pay off the national debt, which will bring down cost of living pressures. So we own a monopoly of iron ore here in Australia, over 80% of the world's reserves. And we're going to put a 15% export license on top of our exports so that you or myself or everyone in this community don't have to be burdened with increased taxes or the decreased spending in government services. What that may mean is that iron ore companies in the short term may have to take a cut in order to facilitate that. But look, we're looking outwardly and looking at all the Australian people and how we can best avoid this disaster, because $1 trillion in debt with rising interest rates as well means a lot of money that's either going to have to be cut from the budget or a lot of money that's going to have to be raised in government revenue. Right now as well, I know housing affordability is a huge issue and huge topic, particularly here in Bennelong, and I know house prices are almost unrealistic. So if we look at cap the rate to save our homes, during the pandemic, a lot of money was borrowed. The average household debt here in Australia is $600,000. That's the highest it's been probably in modern history, and as a percent of GDP, it's second highest in the world, household debt. So I'm concerned for a lot of families around the Bennelong area where they've overcommitted, and now 40% of Australians, including in Bennelong, are under mortgage stress and will really find it difficult to pay their mortgages and their home loans and their monthly repayments. And last thing I want is for people, and particularly families, to become homeless and lose their house. And then we look at the host of social issues that arise from homelessness. The last one, bring super home, own our future. So Australia almost has $4 trillion invested in building up overseas countries. And what we want to do is take a portion of that, about $1 trillion, to bring back into Australia. And if we look at Australia in the last 20 years, we're desperate for short-term money in order to fund new projects or new infrastructure. And we can look at foreign investment as a way which we make a quick buck, and we don't think about the long-term ramifications. This is a long-term plan to invest in Australia for all Australians, so that we can see new dams, new infrastructure, manufacturing jobs, and more opportunities in places such as Bennelong.
Do you own your own house?
No.
No?
No.
This is one of the focuses in the last couple of years. How to help young people like yourself
Yes.
to buy a new home.
I've been around the political scene for a couple of years, in that I've sort of followed it, and housing affordability is something that is close to my heart as a young person.
Right.
And we've actually formulated a long-term. There's no easy fix. There is no easy fix for reducing the prices of housing.
Right.
And I know Labor announced their plan for 40% equity in your home. Well, look, developers aren't stupid. They're just going to bump up the price by a 40% margin, which does nothing to actually fix it. It's more of a supply and demand issue. So some of the policies that we've introduced is a 20% tax cut if you live 200 kilometres or more away from a capital city. So what we're trying to do is incentivise people who are looking for that country change, that rural change, and making it an illustrious offer for people to move out rurally. And again, with our investment in Australia, to make it a desirable place to actually live.
Feel more facilities.
Yes, and create more affordable housing out there to help first-time home buyers or home buyers into the market. Is we've announced a policy where the first $30,000 on your primary place of residence can be tax deductible if you have a home loan per year. I believe that's a better policy than what Labor is proposing, because this stratifies it so that this only targets people living in their homes and looking to purchase, their first home. And this is the desirable aspect of the Australian dream, is that you own your own piece of land.
So talking about encouraging people to live in the rural areas, let's discuss something about immigration. I mean, what's your policy, or what's your opinion?
We are failing a lot of the immigrants and refugees that are currently already residing in Australia. What I want to see is that if we look over in, Western Sydney in particular, that they're stuck in a vicious cycle, a bit of a welfare trap, so to speak. And within 15 years, 50% of immigrants and refugees still can't speak English, which makes it hard for them to get a job, which makes it hard for them to support their families. And ultimately, a lot of people end up resorting to Centrelink, which is unfortunate. And what I want to see is more of those people move out of those spots into places such as Bennelong, into places such as Wentworth, and also Warringah. And until they're sustainable and they own their Australian dream, I think we need to do better with them as well. And I'm not against it in any means as well, but we need to facilitate that long-term change and look at infrastructure and services to help build up that rapport so that they can own their part of Australia and become united with us.
Are you saying that we should encourage them to break away from the comfort zone of their bubbles? I think the main reason why people don't speak English or learn English is because they live in their bubbles.
Yeah.
Right? Are you saying that we should encourage them to get away from those bubbles and get into the new environment?
What's the harm in encouraging people to come out of their comfort zone? I'm out of my comfort zone speaking to you at the moment.
Not really, not in Mandarin.
And running for politics as well. I mean, it was something I wouldn't have imagined that I'd be doing ever. But look, ultimately, in the long run, until you take that leap of faith, we don't actually know whether it's going to be a net positive or net negative change. But I think making that effort is a sign of us coming together, and this is a conversation that is definitely warranted. And I think a lot of Australians would not actually dispute this change, and also would encourage these people to come across as well. I can't speak for those other communities, but I think it's something that we could definitely look into.
Yeah,
There's
there's Eastwood Shopping Center right there. Okay.
Yeah.
In there, this whole big area, you don't have to speak English to survive or flourish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you think that's a big bubble to you?
No, I wouldn't say that's a big bubble there. There's a lot of a mix, and I think it's good to have those aspects inside our community as well. But in saying that, we'd have to consult with the rest of the community and the electorate as well. I don't necessarily think speaking your own language is a bad thing necessarily. I mean, you know, my mother went to Polish school to speak English.
Do you speak Polish?
No.
No, not really. Okay.
I can say like a few words here and there. But look, at the end of the day, we're becoming quite accepting of this stuff here in our community. I think there needs to be a degree of give and take, you know, with Australians. And I think, look, it's encouraging Australians to even come back to Eastwood and participate, if you say, in this bubble as well. It goes both ways. If we want to encourage them to come out of, you know, their Western Sydney bubble, then we should also be encouraged to come back and, you know, join your community and meet in the middle. And actually, in fact, this brings me back to a specific conversation that I've had with a woman from the Chinese Baptist Church here in Australia.
Yep.
She said, look, we actually want to make the effort to learn more about becoming Australian.
Right.
But she's also said in that respect that, look, we want you to come to our community and experience it as well. And I think there's a perfect, there's an equilibrium, and I think there's a point where we can both meet in the middle and have that balance in life and in Bennelong and in our communities.
I believe that too, yeah. And I believe that multiculturalism is not a fixed thing. It's a gradual change. It's gradual, ongoing gradual change.
Yes, yeah, I think that was quite a poignant point that this woman made, is that, look, we're willing to learn, we want to learn more.
Yes.
And there was that excitement, and that to me was actually, you know, very, very encouraging. And, you know, she also wanted me to become part of her community and go to speak to her members, which again also encouraged me as well. I think a lot of people are thinking with closed minds, and we want to open their minds to new ideas. And I don't think this is a completely controversial topic. You know, I've come here today so that you can understand more about me and I can understand more about you. I don't think there's anything controversial about that, and I think that is part of our slogan in Reunite Australia. We're getting along very well, and
we haven't touched any really controversial thing. Okay, so the last question is going to be really controversial. You know what happened a couple of days ago in Eastwood Shopping Centre?
Yes.
This Drew Pavlo.
Yes.
What's your opinion of Drew Pavlo?
Look, Democratic Alliance, he's formed his own party, so I can actually respect his political integrity and his motives. I believe he may feel strongly about this topic. I can't exactly speak for him, but look, it's all about competing ideas and letting the best idea prevail and moving Australia forward.
So you're all right with him having that protest or having the campaign here in Eastwood Shopping Centre? You think it should be allowed?
Well, Kinzom is a candidate running here, and he's the party leader.
Yeah.
In terms of what he may have done, and I, you know, as obscene as the sign may be, look, I think it warrants a conversation to have about what is appropriate speech, quite literally in the town square.
Yeah.
Look, I think he was entitled to have his say there, and you know what happened in opposition. Probably.
What do you think about the reactions?
The reactions?
Yeah.
Look, I will call out violence. I won't say that two wrongs make a right either. That sign may have been provocative, and I'm not quite sure what to make of it. But I've been to Eastwood many times before. There's good, ordinary people there, but this sign just seemed to transform them in the blink of an eye to, thugs, and violence is not an answer to any issue that arises. So I have to say personally, it shocked me that foreign propaganda could spark such an outrage and uproar, and it was a visceral experience. I happened to be there, and within 3 minutes, all the commotion took place, and then it ended just as rapidly. And like I said, I was very taken aback by that. So far, I'm the only major party candidate willing to call out acts of violence, and I don't think it's anything against the people there. It's just that messaging seemed to spark something, and I didn't like what I saw, and that we've got to stand firm against this to make sure that incidents like this don't happen again, because it sorely tests our multicultural Australia and does not promote social harmony.
Okay, this is really the last question, okay? Because
that's right.
Education is almost the one thing that the Chinese community more pay attention to. So, because we talked before, I know that you agree that the education, the final decision should lead to the parents about their education.
Yes.
What if some parents teach them the foreign influence is a good thing?
Yes. Well, I think in regards to that question, I may have to adjust my statement that parents have the last say. I'd say we have a education curriculum and syllabus where we look at these things, and in that curriculum as well, we promote accepting or challenging other people's ideas and having these debates rather than violence. That is personally what I'd like to see, and I hope that parents can educate their children on love others as you would do unto others as they will do unto you. I think that's one of the most important teachings from the Bible, so to speak. I think it's one of the most important teachings that parents can also provide their children. And I believe it is that fundamental shift in understanding other perspectives in regards to a certain issue or certain topic that we can truly move forward. But it's definitely an interesting notion that you've put forward, and definitely an idea that is quite confronting. And look, my party and me as a candidate, I'm willing to stand firm on that topic and to continue working towards making progress to shifting these attitudes so that we can stamp out foreign influence here in Australia.
Yeah. Can I say that some values are not compatible in the multiculturalism of Australia?
I would agree with that statement. I believe that's why it's as you're saying, it's an equilibrium. It's constantly shifting and changing.
Yeah.
Some of those values may be better than others, and this is what we're trying to work towards here in Australia, in moving us forward in the right direction so we can have a harmonious and productive community.